We're joined by family and relationship counselor Andre Ogbewele. He'll be sharing insights on navigating modern love, building healthy partnerships, and preparing the next generation for stronger relationships.
Amen to that.
Welcome
Andre. Thank you for joining us.
Andre.
Hi,
Andre.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
I feel like
when we begin.
I feel like I want to start because, you know, Valentine's just passed, but loving our parents' generation, let's not lie, it looked very structured. It seemed very clear. In fact, there were early marriages, long-term commitment, things that the younger generation don't really
cannot relate.
How would you describe love in today's generation, Andre?
Well, I would say it's totally different from what, we're used to, right? It has its ups and downs, right? Like every age has, the benefits and the negatives of it. But so far, the negativity outweighs the good of the modern day dating concept. Because for me, it's a concept where there's more of the dating apps where people now get to meet up. Now, the disadvantage of that, a lot of people use it for not, proper dating per se. They use it as a hookup central, right? And that is a big issue. See, we're used to having to go on dates, sit down and have conversations. But this youngins, or what do they call them, millennials, or what do they, Gen Zs, the Gen Zs, yes. The Gen Zs actually do not do that. I've had this situation where I was counseling, a young couple. And when they go on dates, they're on their phones. And I'm wondering, okay, so why are you guys on a date? So they spend 90% of their time on the phone. So there's less, physical communication. And you need that to sustain a marriage. You can't be typing every single thing you want to say to your partner or questions you want to ask via mobile phone.
Right.
So you see where the problem is. The transition from the digital to the physical is a problem.
That's interesting. And I like the fact that you spoke about the digital aspects, even though I don't like the fact that you said Gen Z alone, because millennials too, they do it. But Andre, do you think that dating apps and maybe social media have improved our chances at finding love or complicated it?
Both ways. It has improved and complicated it because now you can't tell who is real or who is, now there's this tagline, catfishing, right? So now you don't know if you're actually talking to the real person. And then with now the reinvention of AI, people can actually, so I can actually just create a persona that is not real, and you get to fall in love with that persona.
That's
now,
scary.
As good as that might seem, yes, it gives you access to people all over the world, right? So it brings people together. Good. But when it now transcends to the physical, imagine being catfished. At the end of the day, when you meet the person, every single thing you loved about that person is false. So you see how delicate it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Why would anybody even want to catfish, pretend to be someone else? What pleasure would they derive from that, But at the same time, we also hear things, not only catfishes, but like situationships.
Very new terms.
These words.
Yeah. Situationships. Oh, there are a lot of situationships. And it's because, see, now relationships are not based on values or what we have in common anymore. It has become transactional. So people get into relationships strictly for what I can get, even down to marriages. People get into it for what I can get from this person. Peer pressure or parents pressuring you to get married, and you just want to get that off the table. And then there's also the perception of what a marriage should be. So a lot of people just get into it with this ideology that, a marriage is like this. Once you get into it, that's it. That's all. It ends there, not knowing that, you see, the marriage institution is the only school you get a certificate before you start schooling.
Amazing. So as a relationship counselor, if I may, why do you think people are more afraid now of commitment? You know, based off of your field and how many people you've spoken to with regards to love and relationships, why are people afraid of commitment?
So it's pretty simple. Even though a lot of people don't accept this for a fact, it's PTSD. So now the ideology of you've seen your auntie go through a certain type of relationship, right? It puts fear into these people. Not looking at the perspective of that situation, because obviously you don't know what exactly entailed in that situation, but from what you saw, right, it was a bad relationship. You hear people around you complain about how marriage is tough because now they are not putting in the work. Every single thing in life is tough. Just waking up in the morning is tough, but you are intentional about certain things you do, and that's marriage for you. So people being scared of getting into relationships now, proper relationships, is because of PTSD. Their parents have said certain things, or some of them have even seen abuse with their parents. So they avoid such things. Now, people feel that PTSD is until you experience it yourself. No, it's not. You could see things happen right in front of you, or things that you've been told. Now it creates a subconscious or should I call it a subconscious feeling, right? And then every situation or every decision you make concerning relationships come from that, your subconscious.
You know, you had said something earlier, and I want to ask more. You had talked about how there are more maybe bad things about relationships in this generation, but you also did that line that there might be some good and it's not all bad. And I'm curious, for those who are maybe discouraged, what is one of the goods about dating in this time and age that you've noticed?
Because this new age is tagged to digital media, right? Like I said, it gives you access to people all over the world, sometimes genuine, sometimes not, right? Now, the good part is diversity in culture and race. So that's what it gives you. That's the good part of it. And then the ability to be able to reach out to your partner or your spouse within seconds. You know, so those are the advantages. You know, back then there was nothing like as we have now, lots of video calls. If you didn't have Skype, which Skype was even recent, your Yahoo Messenger, your AOL, you know, so that was what was existing back then. So it was, now to even go on Yahoo Messenger, you needed to get to a cyber cafe. Not like you have available internet now. So you see the difference. Yes, the advantages are good, but the negativity of it outweighs the good.
You know what? I'm so sorry. When you talked about the positives, I'm curious. Is a positive also the fact that maybe in previous generations, people were not happy in relationships, will still stay. But now, would you say the younger people are well aware of themselves, what they're willing to stand? And maybe that's why there's more divorce. But is that a good side? What do you think about that?
Or, Andre, 1 second, or is it as a result of being impatient or growth? And then, I mean, the gender roles are already shifting rapidly as well. What do you think?
Okay, so 2 ways, right? Now, a lot of people, yes, the patient part comes in. The digital age, what it only did was highlight what was already existing, right? People walked out of marriages. Some people stayed because of their kids, right? So the digital age just came and shed light on a little bit of the gray areas in marriages. Now, why we have more divorces now is because the reason behind why people get into marriages. They don't get it for love or affection of each other anymore. Like I said earlier, it has become a business transaction. So when they get into it and it's not working out how they think a marriage should be, or the transaction that they signed up for, they step out. Now, because there are options, so there's an illustration I give to clients, right? I tell them, if you were locked in a room or a four-walled room, no door, no windows, right? And you start a fire, what would you do? 90% everybody says they'll put out the fire because there's no escape, right? But now we have rooms with doors and windows. So once there's a fire breaks out, people walk out the door. Do you understand the illustration?
Absolutely.
So people don't work for relationships or marriages anymore. They feel they have options, way so many options. And that is because of what they see on social media. They do not realize that 90% of what you see on social media is not real.
90%.
90.
You know, speaking of what people see on social media, one major thing that we keep hearing about is soft life, right? And you just mentioned how relationships are now treated as a business transaction. What role does money play in this equation?
Oh, the funny thing is, money is important in any relationship or marriage because you need money to pay bills. You have rent, you have to feed. You're planning to have kids, send them to the best schools. So yes, money is important, but money is not everything. There are other factors. You know, there are other factors other than money. So imagine not having money. Does that mean that your relationship cannot exist without financial profit? So we need to start putting things like that into perspective. Yes, it is good to have money. Money is good. It makes you look good. You eat well. You know, you send your kids on holidays. You go on vacations. Yes. But if we take out money, is there a relationship or a marriage?
You know, a wise man once said, when money enter, love is sweeter. But I'm thinking about that in the context of like a relationship. You're not married yet. And I'm thinking there are men who don't want to be in a relationship because I don't have money to spend on this babe. Women who seem entitled to demand money. And then let's not even start with all this talk like men are scum. It just seems like there's so much affecting relationships in these days. What final words do you have on this?
You see that tagline, men are scum. The truth of the matter is this, right? You see the people that say that, when I have a session with them and I sit down, now the only reason they say that is one of two things, right? Now, the guy they like doesn't like them back.
Wow.
So men are scum, right? No, it's the truth. Because if we are to go by statistics, right? Women cheat more than men. They just know how to hide
I
it
really
better.
want to see that stats. I want to see how we got there.
I kid you not.
I beg to differ.
I kid you not.
I don't even beg to differ. I just want to see the data.
This is such a happy day.
I want to see the data.
But but it's the truth. You see, I have sessions with a lot of people, right? And I sit down, and when you hear couples talk about their marriages or relationships, you find out that this is the issue. Because women know how to see. If men have tails, really, they have a tail. Once a man is stepping out, you see his routine changes. His routine changes, but for a woman, she can maintain, you see, the same routine, she will maintain the same routine. It will not change for any reason. So I have sat with a bunch of them and I've had this conversation. And the truth of the matter is, some of them not really their fault, because again, it goes back to orientation, what you've been taught on what a marriage or a relationship should be. So the values that parents have instilled in their daughters, and then that the fathers have instilled in their sons, it is totally upside down. For lack of a better word, I can't use certain words, but yes, it it is totally off. People don't understand. So imagine a woman that was hurt, right? She's divorced, and she's raising her daughter. What do you think she's going to tell her daughter if she has not dealt with the trauma she went through? What do you think she's going to tell her daughter?
Right. I mean, Andre, we could go
Yes.
on and on about this conversation and we wouldn't know when time has gone. But thank you so much for joining us today. We're sure that we're going to come back to have this conversation 100%. But thank you for
Absolutely.
obliging
Thank
to our
you.
call today.